Hello, this is Kev, and this is Black Men Being Brutally Honest, and this is Avatar. This is without Avatar. So, what's up? And as you walk in, please hit that like button. And if you haven't, and if this is your first time here, go below the screen and hit that subscribe button. Now, let's get to it. I've done this in the past, and tell you right now that yeah, we as a people are fully responsible. Maybe not on an individual level, but as a collective. And I'm not just talking about, physically and the people who refuse to raise their kids. But, you know, we've created this culture where it is more acceptable to be a vagrant of any gender, well, both genders. Yeah, we've made it acceptable and we've made it cool. The archetype of little to no accountability, so to speak. The ones that think that there's going to be a good result from doing stupid shit. Yeah, and that's where we're at right now. Now here we go into space again. And all due respect to the content creators, we're sitting up here arguing this Pookie versus educated lame thing again. And um, I don't know. I mean, my thing is, I consider myself to be very anti-pookie, the antithesis of a pookie. Guys who are accountable for their actions and believe that getting through life using common sense is a better idea than just to flip out every time someone says something, to exercise temperance and patience, and to, enact a policy of being treated like you want to be treated, you know, or treating people like you want to be treated. It's never been a difficult decision for me. Now, anybody who is hospitable and who is nice, I'll give them a chance. I'll socialize only if I have to. Now, for people who are standoffish or that other kind of bullshit, I have a tendency to avoid those people. You know, I'm the kind of guy that does not like to go out in public and really socialize like that. I just like to handle my business and come back. But, just walking on the outside, you could definitely at times cut the tension with a knife. It definitely it's a no-brainer. I mean, not only do you have the society looking at you as if you're some type of stereotype, expecting you to act in the rashest ways, you also have your own people that are so fucking dramatic to the point where we can't decide on what behavior is cool and what behavior isn't. Is often decided for us. And yes, once again, I will say this, the mainstream media had a lot to do with it. Making certain lifestyles appealing and cool and, just an all around bad idea. Anyway, let me get to this Pookie versus educated lame and, you know, how I'm disgusted with it. I don't know. Okay, so you say that, and here's my understanding of how many of you define educated lame. The educated lame is the guy that believes that just because he has an education, that he is entitled to something in the dating market without using a personality and the gift of gab and and that other four-letter word that y'all like to use, game. And then this guy will turn around and complain about his shortcomings. This is something that I barely to never ever see. But some of you guys say this guy exists, so let's just go with it. And Pookie is a compromised man, basically a man who lacks most common sense. Dresses a certain way, acts a certain way, believes that being violent is more akin to his behavior as a black man or sort or as they call themselves, a real nigga. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be the guy that says that the Pookies are the hood dudes, because I've known plenty of cool hood dudes, and I know how that sounds. The Pookies are simply the irresponsible ones. The ones that have the quote unquote gangster attitude. Now, why is there even a Pookie versus an educated lame? Why is it? Why is there this versus thing when I don't really see a whole lot of that? I mean, are some of these guys around here calling themselves Pookies? Like, who is this magical being known as a Pookie? Like, I'm not saying they don't exist. All I'm saying is, why is it a versus? When did the Pookie or the educated lame ever get into a fight or an argument? The only thing that I've seen in the market of Pookie versus educated lame is how these Pookie types will always try to roast the guy who seemed to have his shit together, who always had books in his hand. And it becomes as basic as if he's wearing glasses or he's wearing jeans with suspenders, kind of an Urkel archetype deal. Or, it doesn't even have to be that serious. A guy that just leaves well enough alone and does what the fuck he's supposed to do. But since he's not out in the stroking the streets, he gets roasted. A guy who isn't streetwise or what you say couldn't survive in the streets. And that's impossible, because it's like this. I was maybe considered one of those types, at least at one point in my life, and I adapted to the streets just fine. I mean, and being a part of the streets doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a asshole every 2-3 minutes. What I'm saying is, I just knew how to navigate. Go in, you know, chill with some partners, play some video games, get drunk, maybe pass around a blunt, then just get out of there. Stay out of the really problematic spots. Hell, I've stayed in 3 hoods, 2 of which my last day staying, there were shootings a couple houses down from me. Shoot. And I always get the people who will bust my chops, and just because I use good diction and grammar, they would always say this whole "you talk like a white boy" thing, and that let me know the more. I mean, not to put those guys down, because some of them were cool, but that let me know who the more plantation-minded people is, because from the so-called quote-unquote educated lame, I never heard that come out of their mouths. I never heard any of those guys say anything to the effect of, "Oh man, that dude over there talk like a white boy." And I mean, I'm pretty sorry to say this for those of you who consider yourself to be real niggas, and you're sitting up here trying to shame a guy who is less volatile than you motherfuckers. Just for being them. Those guys know more about being themselves than this so-called quote-unquote real nigga. Now, let's think about it the other way. If you do have an education, if you feel entitled to say, "Hey, you know what? I'm the best thing on. It's good to have confidence because when females do that, they call it confidence. You know, but we'll never get accused of anything good, like confidence and such. But if it is confidence, it can't look like overconfidence or conceit. But understand this, and I've said this before, and I say it again: no one owes you anything. No one owes you a darn thing. Meaning that you're not entitled to it just because you have an education. And I hope the females understand this too. You're not entitled to anything. It's a sad reality. People wish they could be entitled to at least a good job for spending all that time in college. Seriously, some of these people will pay 40, 50, $60,000 to go to school for 4 years just for a piece of paper. If I'm paying that much, hell yeah, I feel like I'm entitled to a job. But it just doesn't work that way. But we know what this Pookie and this educated lame thing is all about. It's battle for control of pussy. You're always saying that these guys can't do anything but talk about women. But think about it. When it boils down to it, the fight or this little versus thing that people have concocted is over the vagina. Women. It's always about women and sex with you folks. It's always about sex. Supposedly, let certain people in the space tell it, the educated lames are upset with the Pookies for having sex with all the women or being able to get the women that they want. Now, granted, there are some guys out there that say shit like, "Oh man, they want a thug. They want a Pookie. They want to get pregnant by somebody who been to prison." And you know what? That shit is mostly true. Vagrant types seem to be more, and no homo. They seem to be more attractive to these females. I mean, visit the out of wedlock birth rate. See your stats and percentages for that. Now, then you hear all these stories about these women getting hurt and even killed. And then when you see the mug shots of the guys who did it, they always fit that archetype. I ain't never seen a guy with a really good haircut and he's wearing glasses and looks like he's crisp and everything. And I barely see those guys in mug shots when these things happen. There would be some old braided up dude, sometimes light skinned, sometimes dark skinned. Or, they got this, they look like they hadn't had a haircut in like 8 years. That's what I see very often. Like news reports, just watch the news. You'll see this shit. Shit. I mean, then a few of the guys, and this is something like I've seen several broadcasts throughout the week on this whole Pookie versus educated lame thing because of the KS and Nicki Minaj interview. It's just look, I've been seeing like these guys are talking about the educated lame. Oh, is winning, or the real nigga is losing, and this shit. So yeah, there's been some lashing out because of it, and I hate to narrow it down to guys talking and lashing out, but I saw these broadcasts a couple years ago. I mean, said by mostly some of the same guys. And the sentiment is that the educated lame admires and wants to be Pookie. The educated lame is so upset he wants to emulate a compromised man in order to get validated and to gain sexual favor from females. Hmm. I don't know. Such as the case with very few. And I think that sentiment is kind of stupid because you people say that they don't understand that they're doing the one thing that they complain about, which happens to certain guys in the space. They're defending another guy. Why are you defending this guy, man? Why you defend? Why? Yeah, they'll say that. Like for example, you literally have people calling folks the Kevin Samuel Defense Force because we see as defending a black man problematic. When it comes to speaking, yes, it is problematic. You can agree with his logic, though. I did say that last night. The idea of a black man defending another black man is problematic, and it somewhat is. But then again, a lot of it isn't. But then these same guys turn around and defend Pookie. Whatever their vision is for Pookie, or whatever comes up in their head, like a guy who wears saggy pants and big t-shirts and probably carries a gun and a dime sack of weed in his pocket and speaks colorful language. It's just another way of accepting the worst of ourselves. The so-called quote-unquote lower archetype who, according to many of you, are validated by females. You know. Well, I'm gonna give you my reasoning for not wanting to be a Pookie, since people, and it's a cruel reality for me. I used to get called a lame, and I got called a lame because I didn't embrace the darker half of our culture. I listened to rap songs, but I thought acting out those things in rap songs were stupid. But for men with lower minds and less patriarchal influence, they fell for that shit. So I always saw it as a weaker mind. I mean, the one thing they did have figured out was how to become a baby daddy for some reason. But at the same time, I never wanted to be like these guys. I never wanted a prison record. I would hear guys constantly say, I ain't afraid to go to jail. I ain't scared to go to jail. That shit's stupid. Shoot. Then you start hearing about the whole prison culture where guys, they get so hard up for sex, then they turn on each other. So when I would hear those two things at the same time, the guys that say, I ain't afraid to go to jail, and then you hear about this old prison culture where, dudes would do each other because they knew they weren't going to see the light of day or a woman ever again, then I started to wonder why these guys would say, I ain't afraid to go to jail. I guess they missed their cellmate or something. I don't know. I've always been that person that I do not want the inconvenience of being in jail, being in prison, being told when to wake up, being told when to go to sleep. Now, granted, I don't know too much about being in prison. Only a guy who's actually been in prison can tell you. But from the outside looking in, I know that's a bullshit way of living. And it's not really living. Now, if you can turn it into a positive, hey, good for you. But that's been very few cases. Anyway, is why would I want to be a Pookie if I have to be in a risky lifestyle? Like a lot of people like the fearlessness of it. A lot of people like the fearlessness of having to not give a fuck. And yes, I gotta admit, the whole the whole bad boy thing, women did seem to be attracted to that. Someone who's willing to take risk or be in a risky lifestyle where they possibly might not live to see the end of the day. And I look at this thing like, why in the fuck would I want to be a part of that just to get some skins? Like that shit's like, why do people continue to believe, and especially our people, continue to believe that stupid shit is the way to go? I didn't like the way Pookie's dressed. Motherfucker smell like damn cigarettes and funk from the underarm. Or still had a lingering smell from that Swisher Sweet blunt they smoked about a couple hours ago. How do I know? Because I used to smoke them blunts with them. Shit, a lot of these guys used to be weed men in my past. And the one thing I used to hear from many of them is they ask me why I don't want to loosen up. It's like because a lot of that had to do is I had to look at everything around me just in case some shit went down. I would look for the exits and the quickest way to my vehicle so I could get the fuck out of there. You know, I wasn't used to that shit. I wasn't used to anything could happen at any time. I mean, you call me a lame all day, I'll be a living one. Shoot, yeah, yeah, but yeah. Let me tell you something, man. It's like another thing is these guys are highly emotional. What I mean by emotional is you can't criticize them. They can criticize you all day. They can tell you you're lame. They can tell you need to embrace their lifestyle a little bit more. And they can also tell you that you talk like a white boy. But turn it on them and watch what happens. They'll retreat into oh, I wasn't doing nothing but playing. Well, I ain't gonna say no more, man. You can't even, like, they'll get mad. I remember this kid in junior high when gangs were running rampant. Because this is why I always question why people would call these guys hard and tough and they thugs and everything. Because to me, a hard and tough guy did not break when someone said something. If you said anything against the gang they were in, they immediately became violent with you. This is words. This is just using words. The words these so-called pookies be using, or get mad with when guys start telling the truth about what goes on around in this bitch. You know, they get mad over words. Really spastic. Like I said, the absence of maybe it was the absence of a father that didn't teach him that edge. Because a guy like me, every time I got mad at something somebody said growing up, I was always told that, oh man, don't let that get to you, man. Don't let them see you mad, man. And sometimes it would be coming from these very pookies who would get spastic if somebody told them something. Also, when a lot of the times when they used to say that I used to talk like a white boy, a lot of the times I turn it on them. Well, I don't want to speak any Ebonics, you know. I mean, and then they'll get mad like I'm a racist white guy, some shit like that. I was like, well, you just got through insulting my blackness, so I turned around and turned it on you. So it's no fun anymore. And then they'll usually just walk away, or they'll start screaming and shouting, and then I was like, oh well, shit. Yeah, I always like the older I got, the more like the more snappy my comebacks became. And snappy doesn't mean like I threw a hissy fit or anything. Snappy means that I used uh, my ever developing wit to counteract the nonsense. Some motherfuckers are just fucking nonsensical. I probably got a yellow dollar sign because of this. Anybody that's monetized understand what that is. But these things have to be said. Sometimes we just don't make any goddamn sense. And because we've been bombarded with this kind of thing in the culture, like even to sensible people, being sensible looks uncool. Everybody, and I gotta admit it, a lot of people did admire that image and want to be that image, but I don't think it's as severe as some of these guys are making it out to be. You know, or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the one that didn't want to be these guys. I didn't care how much pussy they were getting. Like, because it seemed to me like a lot of those guys had baby mama drama. Shit, it's enough to deal with a woman without a child in the dating market at times. Did giving her a child when you done seen the worst side of her? Shit, I've seen that so many times, and they're acting like, oh, why can't you be more like me? I'm like, nah, nigga, nah, bro, I don't want to be more like you. Like, yeah, why can't you just be cool like us? I said, because whenever you talk to your baby mama, things ain't cool. Shit, I like being able to go to sleep at night, and if I don't want anybody around, I don't have to have anybody around. Or I don't have to worry myself with how I'm going to make my next child support payment. Or some shit like that. So, no thank you to the dumb shit. And why don't we adopt more of this mentality is beyond me. I mean, but for some of us who have become older and wiser, what's done is done. And hopefully for the guys in my generation, you've gotten through that shit. Because there was plenty of you in my generation that did that crap. And then tried to shun the lifestyle that you would have ended up in a better place. But, there's a other half to that. Thought culture. Hoodrat culture. We've somehow, and I'm not going to say that black men like me justified it because I always thought it was whack. But we as a culture, we justified it by either participating in it or ignoring its existence. Now, a lot of that was due to the decision making of females. Believing that they had to be a certain way in order to attract a man. And yeah, it is about attracting a man. Or finding somebody to take care of the kids they made by a guy who didn't want to be there anymore. Thus, the whole backseat boogie thing. Yep, no pun intended. Backseat boogie basically is a metaphor for, just having kids you can't afford, not doing anything within a sensible arrangement or a family structure. Because, of course, they try to push this bullshit of marriage, is bad. But, motherfuckers want to have children. So my thing is, don't expect anything if you don't even have the self-respect to either protect yourself or do it in a way that makes you aware that, okay, here's what's gonna come afterwards. If I shoot this club up, or for you ladies, if I allow a man to enter me without a condom, or enter you, not me, I'm not, because some of y'all like to twist up shit. If you allow a man to enter you without a condom, you need to be ready for everything that happens afterwards. Everything. You need to be ready for everything afterwards that happens. Shit. And because we want to participate in such fun, adventurous lifestyles, we are creating generations of children that, quite frankly, don't give a fuck. Thus, perpetuating the pookie and thought culture, the hood rat culture, that, guys like me are so fucking annoyed by. Because it keeps coming back to us who are not pookies. Like we just, like we just, I don't know. Like we won't do anything about it. From the ladies is, we won't do anything about it. From some of these dumbass dudes is, we're jealous of these guys. Now the ladies are always gonna say shit like, why aren't you making these guys accountable? Why aren't you telling these guys not to get us pregnant? And then my response to that is, why do you keep fucking these guys? You mean before it happens, I got to run in and tell them, nah, dog, you need to go get a condom. If you don't love yourself enough to tell that man, then what the fuck do I come in at? I can tell these guys all day not to do that shit. They'll do what they want. And the woman who they're having sex with is going to be responsible for that shit too. It ain't got a damn thing to do with me. Shit, we're all privy to the same info. Every one of us. Especially if you got a smartphone. Especially if you've ever been to school. We are all privy to the same goddamn info. So why are we always pretending like our people are stupid enough to keep doing this shit over and over again? Doing things that we know is going to cost us our lives. Well, our livelihoods, rather. But y'all want to blame the educated lames. Now, which one is it? Because you're always saying that the educated lames ain't ever getting any pussy. Don't get any pussy. They're mad because they don't get any pussy. But then there's also this narrative that's pushed that it's not necessarily the pookies that's doing all this shit, but it could be these white collar guys as well. Which one is it going to be at the end of the day? Which conversation do you want to have? So, let me see who's in this chat. All right. RPM, what's going on? Anthony Drosos, Jay Quan, John Jones. Well, Jaquan, sorry. Lotus Scalper, Officer Faulkner. Woo! Dwayne H. Phil Brad. Freedman's Journal. All right. Thank you guys for showing up. And as always, please hit that like button. And if it's your first time here, go below the screen and hit the subscribe button. But here's one thing that we need to all be responsible for. And this is not just because we bought some rap music or all of us went to see Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society when it came out in the theaters. Which those came out back in the 90s, so, one thing that we need to do is we need to understand that we are the ones that made the human choice to accept everything that the mainstream media threw at us about our image, including making fun of militancy. giving you this bad image of what it is to be black, or making it into a super entertaining image. Now, we are, as a people, our style is so potent to the point where those things resonated and people often tried to imitate us. But for a lot of that stuff, we were told who we were. So, yes, in a way, we did kind of perpetuate it. We did. We are responsible for a lot of these things. I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow if you, as an individual, did not participate in it, or make the decision directly to endorse, or to put the material out itself. But we all had the choice. We all had the choice. We were either going to choose to be ourselves, or we were going to choose to believe what was cool and try to emulate that image. And a lot of us just tried to emulate the image that we were given. And that right there was bad. And especially today in 2022, the way that they play with our image now, and you know what I'm talking about, like especially on TV, how's the black man depicted these days? I mean, back in the day, it was hood. It was always gangster. It always had this kind of this context, like black men were always going to end up in jail and getting girls pregnant and not being there for the kid. Today's image is uh, the archetypal black man that I see in the media today, he's either a toxic abuser of women, or he's weak, or he's one of the milk and cookies people. So I can't wait to see. But nah, I ain't gonna say I can't wait to see. But I will say this: the difference between now and back then was, back then that's all we had. Now a lot of people are, a lot of us, we're choosing our own paths, and we are tired of this shit. It's not that we believe that because that's just a projection, that we want to be Pookie and we didn't, and, and we're mad because we weren't in the circumstances to condition that for us. Besides, who wants to be in those conditions anyway? It's not that. It's just that we're tired of the bullshit. We're tired of the Pookie culture. We're tired of the thought culture. The thought culture, rather. The ratchet culture, the Hoodrat culture. We're tired of all that shit. And how expensive it is. Maybe not monetarily, but, it's costing us a lot more than it was supposed to. A lot of us want a better image for the black man and the black woman. And, there's people that are on both sides of that issue. But, all I'm saying is this. A symptom to that is reckless behavior. That's all it is. A symptom to that is just reckless fucking behavior. Procreated in the backseat of cars, and in dirty ass hotel rooms, and I don't know, on the side of the road somewhere. Just, and I mean, like, I'm not saying married people. Exclude married people. Like, married people, that's anywhere, anytime. I mean, and it's not an irresponsible thing because, hey, they're married. They're supposed to do that stuff. But when you do things that don't facilitate a good environment, then that kind of shit happens. So, let me read some of these comments. Time to read some comments. D. Scott, choose your destiny. Thank you for the super chat. All right, Guy Ramos. And, all right, there you go. Off to the... Okay, somebody already took that up. Shakanulu. Brotherly Love 215. Yeah, but thanks for that super chat. See if anyone said anything. Dwayne H. Their morals, their code. It's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. You'll see. I'll show you. Joker. Freedman's Journal. I sound white. Describe sounding white. You know, I mean, you know white. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That whole sounding white thing. That's actually like okay. That's actually WS right there. I mean, shit. You're giving the more understandable, uh, better, more tolerable language to white people. You're giving them the you're giving them the better shit. You're telling yourself the white man's ice is always colder, and you'll resent any black man that aspires to be what you believe is great. Phil Brad, Pookie and Ray Ray love me. That's that prison shit. I mean, Captain Cisco, what's going on? Yeah, but what's going on? What's going on with that? Why do y'all believe, or why do some of you believe that the educated black man is lame? In fact, someone type out a definition in the chat. Only if you want to. What you believe the definition of an educated lame is. Yeah, I've already pretty much stated. Yeah, hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power. What's going on? Why is this even a? Why is this even still a discussion? It's a destructive behavior. It's a destructive lifestyle. I mean, it all depends on what you classify as a pookie, Harden Thug or Chris Rock in New Jack City. Yeah, because that's the original Pookie, and Pookie was also a nickname. Well, sometimes a cute nickname that a father or a mother would use on their child. Come here, you little Pookie. Come here, Pookie Poo. I know some of y'all remember that, but Pookie has taken a dark turn. Just like calling a guy a Pookie or calling anyone a Pookie is almost like calling a woman precious these days. Shoot. I mean, like, but we got to think about the whole Pookie Ray Ray thing. Would you like consider yourself to be either type, like a Pookie and Ray Ray or a lame? Would you? Because it's like if you don't consider yourself to be a Pookie and a Ray Ray, then like you want to be careful. With Roger, he got me on this shit. Got to be careful of our use of Ray Ray because there are guys named Raymond that probably don't like the fact that guys that are named Ray Ray are considered a bad archetype. Now, I believe they use Ray Ray because of Ray Ray in South Central. You know. Okay, hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power says a black man that is very eloquent, move with dignity, make good decisions, and doesn't have attributes of the negative ghetto stereotype perpetuated by the media when it comes to black people. And Shakanulu says Pookie is actually the homosexual. Ray Ray is a street dude. Okay. All right. Pookie is the homosexual. Ray Ray is a street dude. All right. Well, thank you for those definitions. RPM says I had to fight my whole life because I can be considered educated, but I was raised by Marines and was taught to fight. To be honest, I really only got my respect after I dropped a couple people. That's something I always found strange. Instead of just leaving somebody alone, why you have to wait till they knock you out in order to give them respect? In order, it's a strange phenomenon. People are gluttons for punishment, you know. But don't mess with RPM. And in hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power, um, that kind of black man would not be really considered a lame. That I would consider that person a man. We got to get into calling ourselves men again because there's a diverse amount of people, archetypes, not just the educated lame or the pookie and the ray ray. Um, we got to stop counting ourselves out as black men. And as far as the women go, um, I don't know. I don't know. The only thing that I can ask y'all to do is maybe to stop encouraging thought culture, perhaps. But men aren't going to stop. Messing with women in all kinds of ways. We have to learn those lessons for ourselves. Yeah. So anyway, I'll say it's 48 minutes. I'll give this one a few more minutes. I'll give us a few more minutes because tomorrow's gonna be a busy day as usual. Um, yeah. My thing is okay. As far as the culture part itself, um, I would have to say that not it's not about what not to do. It's about what to do, and it just create better examples and live them out. Not just saying that we're going to create better examples just to get in front of people and virtue signal, but actually living these examples out, saying, which is, you know, making platforms such as these more useful because, as I stated a little bit ago, back in the day, we did not have spheres of influence such as these to go to when we needed some sensible advice. Those who were in control of the media, you know, kind of did us in quite a bit, you know. But right now, we have now more room to decide what path we want to go. And we could have did it back then, but there were just too many of us, boomers as well. It was just too many of us that just accepted the lower side. And that's because they dressed it up and they wrapped it in a pretty bow and they presented it to us. And we just have to learn and understand how to be a better people and to regain a culture that is better for us. And that seems like that's some sensible shit to do. So anyway, listen up, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. I appreciate you coming by once again. Uh, let me see. Let me see about these. Is there anything else that I need to do before I sign off? Swish Life Media, new subscriber. Oh, appreciate that, Swish Life Media. You know, and you won't be disappointed. Um, let me see. Hybrid, hybrid catastrophic impact X83rd power. I'd rather be called an educated lame if it means success than to be a pookie type and try to quote unquote keep it real. Okay. Look, they can call you what they want. They can call you what they want, but you're the one that gets to decide who you are. You're the one that gets to decide who you are. Yeah, Anthony Drossos. Yes, yeah, short. I mean, some of these things you can only say so much about to a group of grown-ups, and you know, although the replays would be useful to want to click on the video, you guys pretty much have some sense and already have it figured out. So, look, guys, enough of this Pookie, Ray, educated lame nonsense because it only it is causing more of a divide and it's causing more conflict between us. But it's it is what it is. So, really, guys, thank you once again for thank you once again for stopping by. What up, Kareem? Not Karen. Yeah, I'm dropping more stuff on Patreon this week. So, uh, look like I have a short term goal to grow my Patreon. I mean, it's only $5. I'll drop a link in the community tab this week, but I am working on content for it. So just for those of you who are already on there, just be on the lookout. But um, look, stop creating bad cultures. Stop creating cultures that negatively affect us as a people, and I believe we'll be okay. So that's it for now. I am Kev, and this is Black Men Being Brutally Honest. Long live the habitual line steppers. In Kev we trust. Till the next time.